as we came out of the 3 o'clock show there, at the very end, you might have caught, he actually had his left hand out the driver's side window and was really trying to communicate with that that lead officer in the pursuit, telling him to, fall back. He was like waving him off, trying to indicate something. I'm not sure, if he's in a sober state of mind at all here. Again, the suspicion is that he is driving under the influence of something, and I'm just looking for any indicators that would correlate with that. But right now, it just appears to be I guess more of a joyride than anything else. He hasn't really posed a major danger except for all these last-minute lane changes, kind of weaving all over the place. Certainly a hazard that they're going to keep an eye on as long as they look at that. He's got something he's reaching. He's reaching for a shopping bag in the passenger seat. He's got something in there. He's got something on his lap now as he tries to negotiate with that steering wheel and this bag now that is on his lap. Well, I agree with that. As we get a closer look here, he does appear, we can't confirm it, but he does appear to be alone inside this vehicle. But the behavior behind the wheel here is very suspicious. I mean, we've seen plenty of pursuit drivers who reach for a snack or reach for a drink in the middle of the pursuit. This looks like a large plastic bag or even a shopping bag that he's trying to dig through as he turns the steering wheel. I don't know for... this may be maybe a 7 or 8 year old Mercedes-Benz that may or may not have lane assist, but he's basically juggling the steering wheel and that bag. At times, neither hand are on the steering wheel, but you can see he's still lined up with that right lane. He's in the number 1 lane, traveling at fairly freeway speeds. In fact, let's go ahead and throw up the real-time speed tracker. You can see he's actually going slightly below the speed limit at about 50 miles per hour as he is distracted with whatever is in that bag. Again, whatever he's reaching for is a complete unknown to us, but he is definitely... Yeah, I don't want to say he's relaxed. I mean, he's definitely moving around, reaching for things. He's kind of like almost looking for the helicopters, the way he's kind of looking underneath the roof of that car. So you get the impression that he's still aware of the law enforcement helicopters. And by the way, with 2 helicopters right overhead at probably 400 or 500 feet, plus the media helicopters, he's definitely hearing some of this activity and, is probably well aware that he's not out of the woods by any means. Lights and sirens or no? Yes. Yep. He's believed to be dangerous, and he is now on the phone as he continues the run from California Highway Patrol, which, by the way, they have now re-engaged this suspect. So he is now he's now encountered with 5 CHP cruisers right behind him with lights and sirens blaring. The pursuit is back on. He is on his phone, and he appears to have the right 2 lanes to himself here as he transitions over to the 10 freeway. We are coming now off the 5 freeway in the East LA interchange, and just like that, we've made our way from San Bernardino, Orange County, and now through LA County all the way in to downtown LA, where this pursuit is continuing into the East LA interchange. Looks like he might be taking the 60 freeway here. He's got a number of options, as you well know, on the freeway. Right now, he's basically taking the path of least resistance. Every time he has a decision to make or a lane change in front of him, he's basically taking the lane with the least amount of traffic, and that appears to be the route he's going to go here. He does not like sitting in this heavy volume, and he's in the worst spot at the worst time of the day in one of the busiest cities in the world where it comes to traffic. And now he has a full-blown rush hour jam ahead of him here on the northbound side, or I should say northbound 5 freeway in the East LA interchange underneath the 60 freeway now. I will say, Philip, these have become just for whatever reason, and there are lots of reasons. I agree with everything you just said, but for some reason, in the last 12 to 24 months, these pursuits and the tactics used by law enforcement, and again, the tactics change agency by agency in each jurisdiction, they have become less and less predictable. Just when you think that they are, committed to getting somebody off the road, they decide at the last minute to just pull back completely and let them go. And that goes for violent criminals. It goes for all kinds of situations where you would think that this is going to end one way, and then law enforcement decides something different. The fact that there's no children in the car and he's alone in the vehicle may play in it. Now, if there was a child in the vehicle and he was definitely armed, then there would be a different calculus there. But in this situation, he's a lone driver behind the wheel. I would hope that you are correct, and we can anticipate that they will continue to follow this through to the very end here, especially in the middle of rush hour here. But there are other factors at play here, including what other calls are going on in the area, how many resources they want to dedicate, what is traffic like, what is the risk to all of these other motorists, which obviously the risk is high, as you mentioned. If this comes to a sudden stop and he's agitated and tries to carjack somebody, we've seen it happen numerous times in recent years. It's almost become much more frequent in recent years than it ever has been, where you see that kind of boldness on the part of some of these more experienced pursuit drivers, and they come from various backgrounds. gang members, you name it. They have all shown up on our LA freeways at one point or another in the last several years, and the violence is unpredictable, and the tactics by law enforcement are also unpredictable sometimes. And when you have so many variables like we do right here, this is now graduating into a joyride up the 5 freeway, or I should say on the 10 freeway now. We are now on the 10 freeway, eastbound side, or I should say westbound side of the 10 freeway. That was the sheriff helicopter that just drove through, or flew through the shot there. Yeah, that threw me off. It is westbound. He is traveling westbound. The northbound, the top lanes going the opposite direction are the eastbound lanes. The side that he's on, those are the westbound lanes, as he is just approaching the Fashion District here. So he's well into the heart of downtown LA here for the next mile or two, because he's approaching the 110 freeway, and this is exactly, as you well know, where it bunches up. The bottleneck is real on a Thursday afternoon, especially on the eve of a holiday weekend. A lot of traffic out on these freeways, and he is encountering some of that heavy volume as we speak. What I would have loved to have seen, if they had enough units, and it appears that they may, is for somebody to give the go-ahead and break the traffic behind him. If they could cut traffic off behind him, they'll have less collateral, they'll have less crossfire risk if this comes to an end where they have to use force. Right now, they have about 5 units behind them, but it seems to be just a single file line of units that are just trying to go along with them with their sirens blaring. They know something's coming up because they can hear the sirens. And by the way, just in the last 30 seconds, well, the sirens are, this is now back in pursuit mode, full pursuit mode. In fact, they have now, this guy has turned his lights off. He's turned his lights off, but check this out, Philip. Go ahead and widen out, Robbie. The traffic break has now been created. So about a couple of football fields behind this pursuit vehicle, go ahead and widen out. Just tilt up there. You can see they've created a traffic break right there. So you now have a unit right there who has created a traffic break across all lanes of the freeway. So now there's a whole group of traffic behind the suspect vehicle, and then the rest of the rush hour traffic that is now being held completely back as they continue to follow the suspect. So now this has been in and out of pursuit mode for the better part of the last hour or so. The driving behind the wheel has attenuated at different paces. I mean, we've seen him speed up, we've seen him slow down, we've seen him cross lanes, we've seen him driving in a straight line for a while, and then before you know it, he starts cutting everybody off and weaving across all 5 lanes of the freeway. So the unpredictability here is continuing. The pattern of unpredictability is continuing as he continues to look for any gaps to squeeze through here to try and lose sight of those immediate officers right behind him. Again, those are all California Highway Patrol officers, and if I'm correct, I believe those are all fresh officers. They are. That is correct. That's exactly right. Yep. You called it. You took the words out of my mouth. That's exactly right. This is a He's got about a quarter mile to a half mile of heavy traffic approaching the 110 freeway. and it looks like he's going to be committed to the 10 freeway here, but if he passes the 110 freeway and stays on the 10, it opens up big time, and he will have much less traffic to contend with if he wants to take this into West LA here. So traffic is opening up. The traffic to the left of him is merging onto the 110 freeway, I believe, or some of those lanes are anyways, and he is using those right lanes where there's a little bit less traffic. Now, whether he goes onto the 110, he's weaving back over to the left here. There's the CHP helicopter, CHP behind him, CHP above him, and we'll see if he takes the 110 freeway, where there's going to be a lot of traffic, or he stays on the 10 freeway and the westbound side of the 10 freeway. I don't want to take the camera off of this shot right here, but I could tell you as I look out the front window of Air 7, the westbound side of the 10 freeway might as well be the Autobahn. It is empty as can be going all the way out to the beach. So he's going to have an empty freeway in front of him if he stays committed to the 10 freeway here.
But in a sense, that's good news, not necessarily so he can escape, but so fewer people are at risk with whatever might happen through this. And we've not seen him, as you mentioned, drive dangerously erratically, but certainly just erratically. Spontaneity is what has been the tale for this person, as he just decides, okay, and now I'm going to switch lanes, and he just finds the gap, as you mentioned, and just moves forward. But you do see CHP right on the bumper of this person, and behind that CHP officer, several others, and they've never given up their watch on this person from the air. And Chris, I think the reason being, as you said it a moment ago, he does have a violent history. So whatever happened to start this chase, whether it was a carjacking or an auto theft, part of me wondered if maybe it wasn't his vehicle and he was looking through someone's bag. You know, remember we saw that searching through the bag in the front. Who knows if he just took it or if that was his stop. There's so many things unknown, except for the fact they know who it is and they know he's potentially dangerous.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And in terms of general safety, you really hit the nail on the head. A wide open, empty freeway like we see here. He has just passed the 110 freeway, now has the westbound lanes of the 10 freeway all to himself. Generally speaking, this is the safest situation for law enforcement because there's much fewer cars that they have to, much fewer innocent motorists that they have to contend with once this does come to a final stop, assuming it comes to a stop on the freeway, which we hope it does. So far, this entire pursuit has been on the freeway. Not once have we seen him get off the freeway and start trying to traverse some surface streets that he's not familiar with, where things could be much dicier, especially on a busy Thursday afternoon. No, this chase is staying on the freeway. He's on the westbound side of the 10 freeway, which will take him all the way out to West LA into Santa Monica, and then he can go all the way to PCH if he wants to, or he can get off anywhere between now and then. But at some point, he's going to have some decision-making to make, and they will continue this pursuit all the way through here. I mean, just think about it. In the last hour, all of the resources they've dedicated to this pursuit, even though it has not been in pursuit mode the entire time, they've done a pretty great job of balancing the risks on the ground, trying to take some pressure off when they need to alleviate it, and then when they see an opportunity to apply a little more pressure, they'll turn the lights and sirens on and see if that gets his attention, and sure enough, it has worked, and you know, at least in the big picture. He's starting to speed up a little bit as he has a little more room to play with here, maybe about 80 miles per hour at least. We'll go ahead and throw up our speed tracker, and you can see, yeah, he's doing right around 60 miles per hour there. So a little more traffic, and he'll just weave right around that. Continuing
Chris,
underneath Normandy, yep.
Chris, I hate to say it, but as you hear some movement happening behind the scenes here, we are getting ready for Eyewitness News at 4 o'clock. Javon Alara is about to join me as well, but we're just getting into position, so we're switching our seats, we're putting on our microphones. So if for some reason you're hearing all this movement, that's what's going on behind the scenes. But again, we are watching this chase. We have been watching this chase now for what, Chris, almost 45 minutes or so. And this driver, again, I think I said it earlier, we see that they have pretty tinted windows on the passenger side and the driver's side, and except for on the windshield. And we haven't seen this person hit any other cars, despite we know that this one may be a suspected DUI driver.
Yeah, I caught the tail end of that, but as he is continuing westbound on the 10 freeway here, it almost looked like he was going to get off the freeway. In fact, once again, he's getting all the way over to that right lane. For the first time, I have the feeling he may be looking for an exit opportunity off of the 10 freeway here for whatever reason. I don't know what that reason is because he's got a wide open freeway in front of him, but I just get the feeling the way he's pulled over all the way to the right lane here, he might be looking for an opportunity to get off here. But he's been on the phone at various points over the last several minutes. You're right, he's going on about 45 minutes to an hour at least that this pursuit has been going on. And again, it has been in and out of pursuit mode throughout these various CHP jurisdictions. Now getting off at Crenshaw Boulevard for the first time, this suspect is now off the freeway. He is on the exit ramp at Crenshaw Boulevard, getting off in Jefferson Park, and you can see him now coming up on what I believe is a red light. He'll have a decision to make here. He can go north or south. He's got a green light rather, but he is for a southbound turn onto Crenshaw Boulevard. Now for the first time, Colleen, on surface streets. Let's pay really close attention and see how the behavior changes. And he is continuing now southbound on Crenshaw Boulevard, crossing 23rd Street. He's doing about 50 miles per hour on surface streets for the first time. California Highway Patrol behind him. CHP helicopter right above, keeping close tabs on this suspect. And now LAPD keeping a watchful eye on the movement of this pursuit as it meanders through mid-city here. We are now on Washington Boulevard, just off of Crenshaw Boulevard. Now heading back in the eastbound direction. Eastbound Washington Boulevard, maybe looking for a chance to get back on the freeway, or maybe this is an area where he is a little more familiar with the surroundings and might have a destination in mind. You didn't get that impression for much of this pursuit, but you just never know. He is looking to make a right turn there, now northbound back towards the freeway, possibly looking for an opportunity to get back onto the freeway. I'm sorry, southbound, I should say. Southbound towards the 10 freeway, coming to a stop here for no particular reason whatsoever, and now pulling into a parking lot. Let's see what kind of a commercial business this is. This is a commercial with a parking lot that comes back out. Look at this, pulling into a parking spot. Law enforcement is going to surround this vehicle at any second here as those CHP officers pull into this parking lot with them. The driver now stepping out of the vehicle, walking towards those officers, waving them off. He is not sober. He is, look at this, he just threw something on the ground, arms and hands up in the air. CHP with their guns drawn, aimed squarely at that driver as he exits the vehicle. He is not complying and is barely communicating. He is now showing his hands. If he takes his hands and puts them in their pockets, he is going to be in big trouble here because he is not listening. There he is, finally turning around, acknowledging their instructions, and stepping slowly in their direction, walking backwards in reverse away from the vehicle towards those officers. It appears that this driver is now willing to give up there, but very tenuous there for a minute as he was not complying, just kind of acting very, very erratic there at the end of this pursuit. But now he appears to be willing to give up. Hands behind his back, CHP ready to take this suspect into custody. This pursuit coming to a peaceful resolution finally. Thankfully, nobody hurt, even though this was an hour-long pursuit that had some ups and downs, some nervous moments there for sure, but for the most part, we should be relatively grateful that this ended as peacefully as it has. Stand by as you continue to watch us live on abc7.com and our 24/7 streaming channels. We are just getting ready for our 4 o'clock show, so in just about a minute or two, you will hear us start our Eyewitness News broadcast at 4 o'clock. Colleen, this chase coming to a peaceful end, thankfully, after an hour-long pursuit out of San Bernardino. CHP chasing this suspect down the 91 freeway, up the 5 freeway. They are now approaching the suspect as he has just gotten off the freeway, stepped out of the vehicle, and is now given himself up. You see the arrest team approaching the vehicle to make sure there is nobody else inside that Mercedes-Benz that you see in the shot right there. We are just off of the 10 freeway near Crenshaw Boulevard on Washington Boulevard here, as they now take a look in the trunk and the back seats to give the official code 4. This pursuit coming to a peaceful end as the driver you see there now in handcuffs. Reporting live from Air 7, I'm Chris Christie, ABC 7 Eyewitness News. You got it.